Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, with code DNVR, your $5 bet on the NBA playoffs this postseason could net you $150 in free bets. All you got to do is pick a winner. That's with code DNVR on DraftKings Sportsbook with code DNVR. Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast. I'm Patrick Lyons.
And I am Suzie Hunter. Right off the bat, Patrick, I just have to commend you for that pun in our graphic, capital punishment, because the past couple of days kind of felt like punishment.
It was proper spelling with the O, not
Yes.
an A. We don't have a pal in the Nationals right now. We do not. We just have a Punisher. Colorado Rockies are coming home on Memorial Day. We'll start off with something positive there because, unfortunately, the road trip was about as bad as you would have liked for it to not be. You win one against Pittsburgh. You win only one against the Washington Nationals, who I believe had only 6 wins at home. Coming into this series, they take 3 of 4, nearly win the doubleheader on Saturday, and the Rockies dropped to 21-26 on the season, 4-13 over their last 17 going into Game 2 on Saturday night. So now they are 5-14 over their last 19, and in the month of May, it hasn't been any better.
Yeah, 9-17 in the month of May. Certainly expected a little better than that. That's the 7th worst month in franchise history. That's massive. That's the worst month the Rockies have had since 2011.
And you didn't even have an instance where there was an exorbitant amount of road trips. It was 2 weeks, right? You had Arizona, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Washington. So still a fair amount of home games. So it's not as if the road games were skewing things at all. Obviously, they had the home series against the Giants and Mets, 2 really talented clubs. But bottom line, a disappointing outcome when you look at that. But there was, some of those positives throughout the day. Like our DraftKings Sportsbook king of the game, this was a tough choice, but we went with Sam Hilliard. He went 2 for 4. Yeah, had the double, had an RBI late in the game when the Rockies were surging, and it seemed like momentum was on their side. Made at least one really nice play in the outfield. So things really coming together for the guy who enjoys his bourbon, apparently.
Yeah. I need to check out that story, but he's a big fan of that. He's a man of taste.
He is.
Yeah, he's our man of the game.
That was a good game for him to have, looking to get off the schneid. Obviously, Chris Bryant's still being out, so he's getting more opportunities. We did see Connor Joe a little bit this past week, a little bit in left field. Connor Joe did get the day off on Sunday, and Hilliard in his place and responding really well. So it was great to see Sam do that. Also on the offensive front, runs were not too hard to come by in DC. Brendan Rodgers had 2 hits on Sunday with an RBI. Also has a 16-game hitting streak, which is tied for a career high for him. So B-Rod, loving the month of May.
B-Rod is the one who's having a good month. Everyone else as a collective, not a good month. But just Brendan Rodgers, crushing it. Just like I said he would.
Well, we're going to be talking about that when we go to our Blaze Street Bombers, because you were absolutely right on that. You quintupled down, which I don't even know if there's a thing, but you invented it, and you were absolutely right about B-Rod in his month of May. So that was great to see. It was great to see Charlie Blackmon back in that leadoff spot with another leadoff home run, the 38th of his career. It's the second this season, and I don't think he had one since 2019. So obviously he was needed in different capacity and more in the middle of the lineup, batting third mostly in 2020 and 2021. But he now has 2 on this season. And so you love to see that 2 pitches into the game, staking your team to that early lead. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold on to it.
Yeah, it's so funny. I had such a delay today, and I already saw the tweets about the home run while I was still in the pregame. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh, spoilers. So it happened that fast.
There were a couple times this week, maybe it was just this weekend, where on the MLB At Bat app, if I was doing something, I had to get away from the television or my tablet and needed to listen to the game on the radio. The At Bat app, I couldn't get the Colorado feed. I don't know if you had that issue. So I was forced to listen to the Nationals for an inning or 2.
I did have that issue at one point, but like my big issue was just a huge delay. It's been super weird. I saw a couple of other people tweeting about it too, but I never had this issue earlier in the season. Like this just started pretty recently. So yeah, I'm also excited to get these guys back in town so we can watch these games in real time.
I'm just wondering if there's more of a delay, or more of a pause button if they need to dump out on the audio. Because is Corrigan and Schemmel, are they dropping F bombs where they need like extra time to like build in for that? So that's why we have such a delay. Are they dumping out of audio? I don't know, but we're gonna have to dig into that.
Yeah, you know what? Let's ask them tomorrow because that's hilarious. I would love to. That's just so funny to picture.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of conspiracy theories out there going around in the Rockies world, and most of them are actually really fun. That one's also fun too. So, we're going to throw that out there. We're going to say it's true until we prove it's not, but we do have a little bit of research to do. My research shows that Jose Iglesias, he's yet to flip that switch and hit at home, but on the road, he's been phenomenal. Another
Yeah,
base hit on Sunday extends his hitting streak to 10 games. And when he's away from Coors Field, he is at his best.
yeah. Jose Iglesias is like reverse Coors Field. So he's reached base in 20 out of 21 road games this season, and he's hitting 395 on the road. Like how is that even real?
No, that's wild. And one interesting, like, I wouldn't say storyline, but one of those things to think about. And yeah, we're only 2 months into the season. We're barely at that quarter mark on the year of 162 games played. But right now he's batting 317. Obviously, we hope that he can keep it up. But if you go back into the history books, which I love to do, Troy Tulowitzki has the franchise record for highest batting average by a Rocky shortstop at 315. He did that back in 2010. So it's one of those interesting storylines to keep an eye on and say, wow, all right, so this guy is in this one stat, in this one thing, right? We don't evaluate all players just by batting average, but that's just an interesting wrinkle to think that a guy like Jose Iglesias, his caliber, not even taking advantage of Coors Field right now, is on pace to break a franchise mark at shortstop.
It's unreal. And I'm also disappointed that I didn't get that information in a spreadsheet today. What's going on, Patrick?
It did. I might not share. I might be a little spreadsheet shy. I don't know if that's a phrase. Could be.
No, that's not a phrase that anyone's ever said until right now.
Could be. We'll see. CJ Cron was a little shy at the plate. He was the only guy today without a hit. So
Yeah.
again, the bats were good. Defense was actually really good. Brendan Rodgers did make the error, his fifth of the season. He also had 2 hits and an RBI, was kind of runner-up, I think, to Sam Hilliard for our DraftKings Sportsbook king of the game. But the defense entering Sunday was 28th overall just by fielding percentage, and Fangraphs have a defensive metric where the Rockies are 25th. And so that's really been one of those things that it's hard to calculate and fathom. Well, if the defense were really good or league average, what is the impact of that? I think we can see that a little bit more for a player who might be falling short, in big spots or in clutch opportunities. Same thing with starting pitching. Defense, we don't necessarily know the impact of that, but it's been disappointing. It was really good today. Ryan McMahon had 2 really nice plays, so a lot more positive than negative on the defensive front as a whole, I think, in Sunday's game.
Yeah, and I was happy to see Ryan McMahon doing well out there because, I mean, we expect that from him. But this season, we've seen several errors that I feel like are flukes. So seeing him not succumb to that today was pretty nice.
Yeah, we definitely don't like those gaffes. Let's talk about Sunday's starter in the 6-5 loss, Kyle Freeland, whose final pitching line, doesn't look great. Certainly not as bad as what we've seen it be this entire month. We can talk about Austin Gomber's start and what that meant in the history of this organization. 2 guys really struggling in an extreme sense here in this month. First time since Josh Fogg about a decade or so ago. But overall, showed a lot of grit. Came out of the game, you got to be worried about him, but I think in the grand scheme of things, you sit back and you go, "Hey, that was a solid start, giving the context."
Yeah, for sure. Giving up a home run to Juan Soto. Juan Soto's going to hit a home run at some point. I've been saying it because he's my NL MVP pick. Um, but yeah, so I mean, that's going to happen, it's going to happen. But of course, the walks, the doubles, those all came back to bite him.
Yeah, the 4 walks, not so good to see. But as you point out, Soto, he homered. Freeland said, fool me twice. Well, you're not going to fool me. So he, to start off the 5th inning, he walks Soto, gives up a double to Nelson Cruz to put 2 runners in scoring position at 2nd and 3rd with no out. Mm-hmm. But then he goes out and gets the next 3 hitters right there in the middle of the order. Josh Bell obviously being the first out there as he hits behind Nelson Cruz. And so, shoot, that was a real gutsy performance, and you really like to see that. And that was a spot where the momentum's now kind of shifting the Rockies' way again. There were a couple of those times in this game where you thought, okay, now's when they're going to respond. Didn't happen each and every one of those times, but I thought that was a really good performance for Freeland in that spot. Again, despite the result, this is something other pitchers are going to look at and go, damn, if I get in that kind of a jam, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, for real. Got out of a jam. And that outing was one of those moments, where we thought, okay, maybe the Rockies can turn this around. A big concern, though, was after his last pitch when Kyle Freeland was limping off the field. That was a huge concern. He's pointing to his ankle, to his leg. So you never want to see that ever, especially when we're already down a couple of guys.
Well, we had said it, I think, in one of our last podcasts from last week. He had taken a ball off the back of his knee, and you don't know the impact of something like that. It could be a start or two. No idea if there's any relation to that. Actually, I'm not even sure if it was the same leg. I didn't go back and look through it too much, like the Zapruder film, to find out. But friend of the show, Danielle Allentuck, down there in D.C. visiting some family, so she had a lot of fun, I'm sure. Down in the Maryland, Virginia area there, covering the game. She said after the game, she was able to speak to some folks. X-ray on Kyle Freeland was negative. Seems like he's not likely to need an IL stint. So that is incredibly positive, considering they already have one man in their starting rotation on the IL right now, and Antonio Senzatella, hoping to get him back here on Wednesday if all goes well with his 15-day IL stint.
Yeah, and we did catch up with Isotopes manager Warren Schaefer about how Senzatella was doing down there. So that was Friday night. Yeah, that he had that start. He pitched 4 innings.
A lot happened on Friday. That's probably. Yeah. I know you might be struggling to connect the timelines and all those things. Your day was a little busier than mine. We'll get to the release of the City Connect uniforms. That was part of that, as you said, the rehab start. A game that was a no game that was canceled really late down in DC, but you were also down at the DNVR shootout at the Spring Valley Golf Ranch. Big outing that we had for not only just members, but anyone in our community. It's one of the great events that we put on. Whether it's at the DNVR bar in the corner of Colfax, New York, or, hey, some off-campus events too, our tailgates, the party bus, this golf outing as well. Spencer and Mitchell did an amazing job. It's only 50 cents for your first month to join and become a member. If you want an annual membership, you actually end up getting a free shirt from DNVRlocker.com, extra raffle tickets at all the watch parties, and we've got watch parties for the Avs. If you can't get a ticket to Ball Arena, and it's going to be hard, it's going to be expensive, you can guarantee that we will have the game on. The sound's going to be turned up. It is going to be bonkers. It is an arena-type environment for those games. I would love for that same thing to happen at Coors Field, but that might just mean everybody stands up at various times coordinatedly and does the wave. I mean, if that's the vibe at Coors Field, we can replicate that actually really easy, and it would still be really fun. But man, for the Avs watch parties, it was bonkers. Was the golf event equally kind of bonkers?
The golf event was so fun. First of all, perfect weather, a great turnout, just a great crew. I had so much fun. I didn't even golf because, for a variety of reasons on Friday. But we've got more of these coming up. But it was so much fun. It's just great also to see people that, subscribe to DNVR, and like, they tweeted us, and it's like, oh yeah, like, how are you doing? I know you online. Great to see you in real life in your golf outfit.
I'm sure you did wish you brought some clubs, because you really could have thwacked Mr. Met in the face, because
I could have.
there were side games and side things going on. It wasn't just, hey, we're all going to kind of hang out, wave to each other, say hi, and go golf. Like there were all kinds of different things. I think we got a video coming out soon. RG's got it. We already just put one up on YouTube on DNVR Sports, our specialized channel on YouTube, all about the Avs watch party, and that event is just absolutely bonkers. Look, you can keep it going even though the Nuggets are out, with your own betting on DraftKings Sportsbook, the spot where you need to go, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers, all you got to do is bet $5 on any team to win, and you win $150 in free bets. That's it. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet on NBA hoops with those same game parlays. That's multiple different things randomly, whatever you feel is going to happen. You get a really big payout if it does work. And guess what? Right now, for the same game parlay each day with 3 or more legs, if one of them doesn't hit, they're still going to give you $25 back in that instance. Can't beat that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game, and you'll win $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code DNVR. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Now, our guy Brandon got it right last week, and we're going to do the same again. We're going to go back to the well and take the Colorado Avalanche in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Let's go. Here's the thing. This is why this is my DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week. Don't bet the money line. It's not very favorable for a payout. If you do, go with the Avalanche and the puck line. You're going to give up 1.5 goals, so you win by 2 or more. Great. It's plus 135 for the Avs to do that right now on the puck line. DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Let's go.
All right. Speaking of the Avs and the DNVR bar watch parties, I saw this on Twitter on Friday night, but it looks like someone who was at the party was like celebrating so hard at the end of the game that a guy tore his Achilles.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I'd rather that than actually, and this is going to sound strange, I'd rather someone injure themselves celebrating than like throwing their remote through the television. That's not a good story. You're not going to want to retell that one. Yeah. Financially, it may end up being the same price depending on your insurance provider. But you know what? One is a way better story than the other.
Yeah. I saw it on Twitter. I was just like, oh my gosh, you are a real fan.
Yeah.
That's a real fan.
I tell you what, the guy that we are a real fan of right now got to make his debut. I know you were pumped for his performance. Talked to the guys over on Blake Street Banner about him last week. When is Chad Smith coming? Chad Smith is here. He's added to the 40-man roster on Saturday, just ahead of the doubleheader in a weird confluence of events. You had Helcris Oliveras. I said it again. Series of unfortunate events. One of which for Helcris Oliveras, who's moved to the 60-day IL. And Ashton Godot was optioned, so he was sent back to AAA, yet because it was a doubleheader, he was kept around and was the 27th man in Saturday's doubleheader. So every time there's some kind of transaction, he's hanging on by a thread, but he was still there. Who knows if they sent him back? But maybe Monday we're going to find out another transaction. And really, Ashton Godot didn't go anywhere. So technically he's not a part of the big league roster, but it would not surprise me to see him down in Coors Field on Monday.
I know. I feel like Ashton's been optioned back down to Albuquerque like 10 times, but like has only actually gone to Albuquerque. Or no, it hasn't even been to Albuquerque. Went to Salt Lake City, but like it has just, he's all over the place. He's a person to keep an eye on.
He's a man of interest. And I also want to point out too that what's kind of odd with these double headers that we've been seeing, Rockies already have played 3 so far, I believe. They've lost the first game every time, and they've won the second game every time. So it's kind of strange that works out. But Smith did not get into the game. And we should be clear too, There is another Chad Smith. If you use Baseball Reference, it's a different Chad Smith. Chad Dennis Smith. He pitched 2 seasons ago. Our Chad Smith might not update until Monday. You have to go click over on the minor league tab. It's a whole thing. But if you're listening to this on Monday, Rodney Chad Smith, that's our guy. He's now in the registry, man. He's a part of the 22,632 players that have played all time. Chad Smith, welcome to the club.
Did not realize his first name was actually Rodney until very recently.
Till 6.5 seconds ago.
Till 6.5 seconds ago. No, I saw it on Twitter earlier today, and I was like, oh.
I didn't either. I didn't either. That's where that was my source until I backed it up. But Chad Smith, honestly, you get a little excited for him because he's been really good this year. He was really good last year. The stats back it up, especially because, we know what playing baseball at altitude is like and what it can do to ERAs. Sometimes not always due to the home run ball. It's a large outfield, so the ball drops in. Not always true in the Pacific Coast League. It really is very much just a hitter's league where you're going to hit a lot of home runs. So the league ERA is astronomical. Mm-hmm. That being said, it makes Chad Smith's numbers look just almost Bob Gibson-esque.
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of people have been excited to see Chad Smith. Chad Smith looked excited. He was like clocking 98, 99 miles an hour. I'm like, okay, get it.
Yeah, good fastball. Had a 1.89 ERA in 17 games with Albuquerque. He was their closer, so he had 9 saves. Hasn't allowed a run since April 30th, and hey, that continues now in his 1 inning in the majors. Had a 1-2-3 frame. Love to see that 3-pitch strikeout of Riley Adams. And then last year in AAA, had a sub-3 earned run average, 2.97, considering the fact that the Isotopes staff ERA was 5.98. So it was literally better than half of the team ERA. Think about that. Where you go, hey, Rockies had even if Rockies team ERA was 5.
Yeah.
Just quick math, right? Quick math. Team ERA is 5. You go, all right, hey, there are some years where that's about right. If there was a pitcher that had 2.50 ERA for that season, that's damn good. And that's how damn good Chad Smith has been. So I'm excited to catch up with him. And it's kind of interesting. I was thinking if he didn't get into the game on Sunday, it would only be fitting that he made his debut against his former team, the Miami Marlins. So he was drafted by and came over in a deal during the pandemic season in August of 2020 for Jesus Tinoco. That would have been really fitting. Alas, he does it against the Nats, but he'll still probably be able to get to see some old friends of his that were on the Marlins now for the next couple of days.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I mean, I'm glad he made his debut in Washington because it sounded like his family was there to see him. So I'm glad they got to see it. But yeah, it's always funny to see, old friends reuniting.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. There was a somewhat of a reunion. I don't know all the details exactly, but I imagine they may have met up as our friend Shelby Cravens from the Rockies PR team met up because I don't think her dad is allowed on the team flight. She is. I don't think her dad is, so they probably met in DC and didn't know this. I know she'd been to a lot of stadiums. Huge, baseball fan. I mean, that's why you get that job as a supervisor in the Rockies communication department. But she was able to complete her journey with her dad, and so they visited more than 30, but they've now been to all 30 active major league ballparks. And so that was really, really cool to see her have that get celebrated. A lot of people on social media hit her up on that. So I was really happy for her.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a special thing to be able to do with your dad too. And also it's hard to get to all of them. It's really hard. I think it's harder than most people realize, but it's so cool that she made it happen. I'm so excited for her. I can't wait to pick her brain about it tomorrow.
You have to point out where your name is on the wall of people who have gone to all 30 and say, oh, put your name right next to mine. Maybe in this virtual wall, right? Not very many people. Would you have a guess? I was going to say, have you talked with anybody about it? Do you know? There's no way to know, but how many people do you think have been to all 30 ballparks or going, pre-98? had been to all 28, I figured there'd be a lot less. Or pre-93 had been to all 26. I don't think, traveling that much before 1993 was quite as common as it might be now. But if you were to just throw a number out there, how many people do you think have been to 30 ballparks, whether they're active or not, but like in all 30 cities? What number would you put on that, would you think?
Oh, so bad at numbers. I'm not a numbers person. I'm going to guess 5,000.
I had 8 in my head. So let's say 5 to 8. Now it is a fact. There are between 5 to 8,000 people in the world who've been to all 30 MLB ballparks, and you can quote us at DNVR_Rockies on Twitter. That's the number. That's the well. That also, there you go. That's another bit of homework assignment for us at the ballpark this week. Go around and say, how many people do you think? And again, you're going to get someone who says 25,000, and you're going to get someone that might say 250, right? Right?
Yeah.
They're going to be ridiculous. But I bet you the final answer is probably between 5 and 8,000.
Are you going to make a spreadsheet out of this, Patrick?
No, you are. You don't like that idea quite as much. Hey, do you like the idea of morning baseball? Because we've had a lot of those with these East Coast trips, and not like, there's been a couple 11 a.m.s, but we've now in this past week had 2 games that started with a 10:35 on Wednesday against Pittsburgh, and then 10:05 on Saturday for the first game of that doubleheader. Are you a fan of some morning baseball?
I love morning baseball best when the guys are on the road, for sure. But yeah, it's I had fun. Yeah, it's I like rolling out of bed and watching a game.
Yeah, we had a fun little poll again on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies about favorite cereals. I had to pick your brain. I know we had a lot of baseball content to cover, but we got some cereal content. Did you have a favorite cereal growing up, or a current favorite cereal? I'm boring. I don't eat cereal right now, currently as we speak.
Okay, so I eat so much cereal right now, and it's like absurd, but it's like the whole grain stuff that you get at Whole Foods. But like, this is a total side note. I think I have an iron deficiency, so I think I'm just craving cereal because there's iron in it.
Maybe.
I've been looking into it all weekend. I'm like, there's no way I eat enough iron. Like, I need to address this. It's an issue in my life right now, but we're getting through it. So I love that whole grain iron-rich cereal, but I'm a big Cinnamon Toast Crunch fan. Big fan of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
All right, so I'll mess with the Kashi if I need to. I prefer to go with the heavier brands. I like that. Action. Cinnamon Toast Crunch was not brought into my house when I was a kid. I only experienced it in college, and after one bite, I go, "You can't have this anymore. This is too good." Like it's like it shouldn't even be in polls. Like that one, we did a poll that was tops. It just shouldn't be allowed. It's just so it's in its own league. It literally is like, okay, obviously Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the greatest cereal ever made. If you don't think that one, I feel bad for you. You're not necessarily wrong, but I do feel bad for you. And then it's like, what else is left? Lucky Charms in my household, obviously have to support it as an Irish American. Gotta support my leprechaun brothers and sisters out there.
Your heritage.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was big. And Fruit Loops and Captain Crunch until the roof of my mouth. You know what I mean? The amount of money that was spent on, stitches and scar tissue ointments for the top of my mouth on Captain Crunch was too much. So Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops were my 2 go-to as a kid.
Oh, Lucky Charms is a good one. I love those marshmallows. Just hit different than any other marshmallow on the planet.
Very true. Very true. I know Kale right now producing this is like, he's got 5 minutes of content. Oh my God, he's smiling so big. Get in here. Get in here, Kale. I know you're so happy right now. Right.
This is just hilarious content.
Kale, you have the floor. Go ahead. Every thought you've ever had about cereal, please.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch might as well be crack. I don't know how we can consider it a real food. And I'm a big Lucky Charms guy. I pretty much just agreed with everything you guys have been saying.
Let's go.
Let's go, Cal.
Do you still partake? Are you still a big cereal guy here in the morning as an adult?
I'm a big Frosted Mini Wheats in the morning guy now because it's a good way to get your fiber.
Yes.
I will say, I don't think I mean, I know I can't eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch for breakfast now. Like that is like a dessert or like a snack that I have in the middle of the day. I can't have that for breakfast. That is just like a sugar bomb. I'm gonna crash in an hour. So I'm an all hours cereal eater, not just breakfast.
No, I'm a big dessert cereal guy.
Yes.
Like desserts, especially like something like majorly sweet, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or like a Captain Crunch or something like that, or anything of the peanut butter, like chocolate ones. Those are like Reese's Pieces, or Reese's Puffs.
Reese's Puffs. So
Reese's
good.
Puffs. That's an elite dessert cereal.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Oh, I hit the Reese's Puffs real hard when I was a kid.
There was a place in Philadelphia, and I'm sure there's other places like this in the world. It was called, and I never went there, but the concept alone blew my mind. It was like, we need to just take a road trip for this. It's called Cereality, and I guess there was someone who would literally go in and parse through and put like the Cheerio type stuff of the Lucky Charms, like the oat or the grains, and they would separate the marshmallows. And so you basically made your own bowl of like, okay, give me 3 scoops of just berries. Okay, now just give me 3 scoops. And I was like, it was this crazy concept. I'm sure like a bowl of cereal made that way is like $8, but the concept blew my mind.
That's
Kale's
so
not gonna
awesome.
recover from that.
That sounds so worth $8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Why don't we have one of those in Denver? All of the nostalgic millennials would just love that.
That's it.
True.
That's it. Are there any cereals with letters in them? I mean, I know we've got the soups that have that. Because I'm just saying, if you can go by the letter, it's going to get very expensive. But you could have a cereal just with X's and O's. You know, people could propose with cereal. This is our idea. We haven't an idea or an invention this episode. We have now found it. We've now found it, and we hope that you find any of 11 of Denver metro area locations for Lightshade. Fantastic dispensary, a premier dispensary, dare I say. They've got something for everyone, casual consumer to the connoisseur. Great selection of so many things. But Ripple, got to tell you about the fast-acting and dissolvable gummies from Ripple. It's clinically, it's proven. Colorado State University has done tests on these. They've published the results in a peer-reviewed journal. Clinically proven to hit 2 times faster than a leading gummy because absorption happens within 10 minutes every single time. Podcast listeners, you can get 25% off non-sale items with code DNVR, or if you're watching us live right now or going back and watching us on our YouTube channel, DNVR Sports, then you get 25% off non-sale items with code DNVR as well. Shop online at lightshade.com for pickup or visit a Lightshade location near you. And if you happen to get the munchies and you want more of a meal before you have your dessert cereal, you got to go to Sexy Pizza. They've spent 13 years in the Denver community with locations right now in Capitol Hill, Old South Pearl, Jefferson Park, and Park Hill. It's as local gets. It's hand-tossed deck oven pizza with made-from-scratch each morning dough. And what we love about Sexy Pizza most is they support local causes and organizations. So if you've got an event, head on over to www.sexy.pizza and check out their About page for the donations link to see just how Sexy Pizza can help support your cause. And if you're not in the area and you're in the southern part of our state, make a trip down to Trinidad, Colorado, because Sexy Pizza has a location there as well. All right, Suzie, the big story over the weekend. It's been going on. Everybody's got their takes. We'll share ours. We'll break it down for you. I think we'll be able to do this, to keep this episode under an hour. Can we cover all this in 30 minutes? I mean, this is a big news story. It's the Colorado Rockies and their brand new Nike City Connect uniforms. They were unveiled for the first time on Friday, and everyone's split. But I don't think the split is as bad as we may think. There's the beautiful picture there. Connor Joe, Kyle Freeland, Herman Marquez, Ryan McMahon. Do you have any background story of when they actually did this? Because I know they went up to Loveland Pass, and I imagine this might have been in April at some point.
Yeah, I only know Loveland Pass, and this could have been any time of year they did this because who knows? It's Colorado weather. But yes, these jerseys were inspired in look by the Colorado license plate. So everyone, I thought it was so funny getting all the Twitter responses that are like, it looks like the license plate. I'm like, well, that's literally what they wanted it to look like. So what?
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, here they are.
and so there's a lot of design elements. We had a poll up for that, but first and foremost, like let's explain the purpose of Nike City Connect. This is Nike's proposal to MLB saying, hey, well, they didn't say, hey, we want to make money, but let's make it clear. They want to make money. They want to sell jerseys. They want to sell swag, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the impetus for this. That's where it's coming from, right? Like once they got the deal where Majestic had it, so now they're making the uniforms for Major League Baseball. They kind of wanted their own flair. They wanted their own thing. I mean, baseball really hasn't had something this widespread since the late 90s with the turn ahead the clock promotion. Now, you've got the holiday and the special ones, right? Like Suzie, do you have a favorite like holiday commemorative cap? I mean, again, all teams do it, but it's only like a slight deviation on things. I love the Mother's Day one. I love when everyone's wearing pink. That's just fun. It might not, transcend style wise, but it's just fun. So I like that.
I like the pink, but I like pink. And I'm like, I think that pink is a flattering color on a lot of people. So I'm like, yeah, I like the pink actually. I think the pink looks a little better than the blue. But again, it's not about the color, it's about who we're honoring, and Mother's Day and Father's Day, super important. So I'm not gonna say that I like one more than the other. Okay. But what holiday ones do I like? I just, you know what? My favorite alt jersey was the black vests, but I'm okay with seeing them on the shelf for a little bit because I like the City Connect jerseys. I like what the Rockies did.
I do too. I understand the idea of you're trading one for the other. It doesn't mean the black vest is dead forever. And I don't necessarily know that the Rockies had to get rid of one. I mean, they chose to. Maybe they were encouraged to. I'm not sure. It would have been too many, and so that was kind of on the cutting room floor. And so hopefully that doesn't mean that really will be the last time that we see it for some time. Obviously, you've got the road grays that had the purple pinstripes that I think for a period of time maybe looked out of fashion. Now seem like they'd be in again. You also had the white vests too that looked really flashy. So these things can come back. So obviously that charges some people's takes on it, and you're saying, hey, well, what are we giving up to get this? Let's just focus on the jersey. So you actually wrote a really good article over on the dnvr.com. Now again, only 50 cents for your first month, where you kind of highlighted all the different design elements besides just the fact that it's a license plate motif. There are all of these little elements that, and in the case of one, is literally hidden when they're wearing the jersey. And so I wanted to get your take on what these design elements were that you like so much, or that they put an effort in to show it and put at the forefront.
Yeah. So as I, dug into the pictures more and I was looking at the release that the Rockies sent out, I was like, okay, so this really is giving me Colorado road trip vibes. So, I mean, the license plate, dead giveaway. There's the stitching of the colorful Colorado welcome sign that you see when you cross the border into Colorado. So I'm like, okay, that is definitely road trip vibes too. I took a picture of it when I moved here. So it's like, oh, I love that a lot. It looks really cool. Then there's a patch on one of the arms. There it is, if you're watching on YouTube. But I like the Coors Field coordinates. I like the 5280 for the elevation. We've got the black diamonds to celebrate Colorado's snow and ski board culture. It's cool. It encapsulates all of Colorado, or a lot of it at least. So I think they're fun. I love leaning into the road trip theme.
Yeah, it's great. The purple piping there again, because it's very subtle too. Again, from far away, when you look at, you don't even see the purple, but they kept a little bit of purple piping in there, reminiscent of the Purple Row, which is obviously really nice. And then the cap logo too, which my initial take was, I don't like it. I didn't hate it. I was leaning towards almost, but I didn't like it. And then over time, I said, you know what? Actually, this is growing on me, especially the fact that it's a green cap like this. The logo itself, maybe I just give it an okay, but altogether, I now like it a little bit more after I've seen it for a little while. What was your take on this very unique logo and this emblem that they now have for the City Connect jerseys.
So I thought it was interesting. I thought it didn't really fit the rest of what we were looking at, but I appreciate the symbolism in it. So we've got Purple Mountain's majesty. The red ring around there is to represent Colorado's red soil. And that gold ring around is supposed to represent all of the sunshine we get here in Colorado. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate the elements of it.
I think the part that my initial reaction of I don't like it was based upon was that I feel like that logo, I've seen it before. Like you go to Estes Park, you go just about anywhere and you're like, oh, let's get some, tchotchkes from Colorado, whether you live here or otherwise. Like you've seen that logo. Like that's like a D-Line Co. almost logo of, yep, Purple Mountains, blue sky. It says CO, the abbreviation of the state. You got some colorful rings around it. And so it's not earth shattering in that capacity, but it does encompass, as you said, when you consider those details and how they're somewhat seen on the jersey. There's no real red in the jersey except one of the letters in colorful Colorado, and same thing with that gold. Although the patch is a gold and a yellow, but still overall, I really think this is an awesome uniform as a whole. White belt too, which is definitely a different kind of look, and it's, I don't know. I think it's definitely a win. It's a really a big win in my book.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. Although I can't believe you just compared the hat to something D-Line would put out, because I don't think Eric likes the hat at all.
Eric hates these, which I think is hilarious that you just comped that to them.
He's gonna sue us.
I think we should clip this and send it to him.
Let's do it. Let's flame him up, man. Yeah. No, well, we had him on this off season talking about jerseys, and it definitely was a lot more about the design elements and sublimation in the front of the jerseys versus like, hey, it's a fun logo, right? Like it encapsulates the area, and that's a cool like design, and it's more about the design. I think that's probably what he might not like about it, but there a couple other things to point out about this too is people are clinging to the idea of this being City Connect, and it doesn't represent Denver, when I think it does represent Denver. I don't think it exclusively represents Denver. I think we know that. I know on the Nike site, it says when in regards to City Connect, quote, after Major League Baseball and Nike announced their partnership to provide on-field uniforms in 2020, the relationship would help guide one of the most historic visual connections in sports, the bond between baseball club identities and their fans. And so Colorado is, like some other teams, are in a unique position where they don't just represent the city. They represent a state, and in this case, really unique unto any other team, an entire region, right? The entire Rocky Mountain region. So that was also an element of it too. So I think it's too much semantics, right? Talking about that word city.
Yeah. And also, the Rockies represent a whole time zone out here in the Mountain Time Zone. So I think that is also something that people got a little hung up on social media. The other thing I've seen people getting hung up on, they're like, oh no, I would like these better if they were purple instead of green. Someone actually photoshopped them to be purple instead of green. I'm like, I feel like you're missing the point, the purpose. I feel like you just blatantly didn't read my article. How dare you?
Yeah, like this isn't just hey, the Rockies are getting a new jersey. It's like, no, Nike is redesigning all 30 teams, and they've got a much bigger picture. And so each team is a cog in that, and so that's probably gonna lead to some frustrations. But I don't know how much input the teams had to say. So that obviously includes the Rockies. Like I think Nike had a major idea. Here's what we'd like to do, and it wouldn't surprise me that like on a team by team basis, 90 to 95% of what Nike wanted to do in this grand scheme of things, was approved by the teams. I don't even know how much say that they had, to be honest. But again, this is so I understand people want to link it to the Rockies and Dick Monfort and all that stuff. And maybe there are certain connective tissues that link some of those things. But I really would have been curious to see what people's takes were on what they wanted to see beforehand. Say, okay, what do you want in your Colorado City Connect jersey? And I bet you most of the things that we see would be what people would have said. And there really wouldn't have been too many other ideas. The only thing that would have been really great to possibly see represented, and we've talked about this before on the DNVR Rockies podcast, would have been, and again, not exactly on this uniform, but on a uniform, pinstripes that resemble a topography map. So instead of straight pinstripe lines, they look and resemble a little bit more like a mountain, like a range or what have you. So that would be a thing. And because that didn't happen, I'm not butthurt over it. I think we all wanted green too. That's another thing. I think a lot of people probably didn't. They just say, no, keep it simple, black, white, silver, purple, give me that. But for those who, grew up, especially seeing around Coors Field, a lot of the security people and the staff wearing those big jackets, and Herman Marquez is wearing one of those in the promotional flyer. And
yes,
you can also buy that on the MLB fan shop, whatever that site is. But the Rockies jersey would always have that bit of green in it, and it always popped. Green and purple play really well together, the right shades. And so, man, I really like it. I think it's going to play really well. And June Lee of ESPN, who isn't the be all end all, but he had his rankings. And when I went in to look, I wanted to find some details about a couple other teams. I went in, and where were the Rockies now in the top 11? Yeah.
New number one.
They're number one in his book. He said his verdict was, quote, "The Rockies have unveiled a design that is distinctive from the rest of their existing uniform set without feeling completely out of left field. The Rockies paid an exceptional amount of attention to detail, creating a look that feels both fresh and classic." He is not the Lord and Savior by any means, but I did think that was really interesting that maybe somebody outside of our market could identify. And again, I get the whole connecting it with the city. Again, maybe it's a little bit semantics. Some teams have a larger area, like the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have a uniform that reflects the state of Arizona, and there's a little bit of Phoenix flair in there, but it's mostly like a Sonoran desert, right? Giants, they got the Golden Gate Bridge there, but there is so much culture in San Francisco, none of which was represented in the Giants uniforms. Yeah. One of the reasons why that is at the bottom of the list, though, to be fair.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are so many jerseys that do less, and this is just giving us so much. And I think they look great too. So kudos to Nike and the Colorado Rockies for pulling off a jersey that I think is overall good.
Yeah, I think so too. And not to beat a dead horse, let's not forget, or maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Susie. Correct me if I'm wrong. The mountains that are depicted in the Rockies' regular everyday logo, those are in downtown Denver, right? That's Colfax and Spear, right? There's that big Denver, that big mountain in the middle of Denver, right? Or is that actually outside of Denver and actually part of an area that's not Denver?
I don't know. We're gonna have to get some kind of maybe sports logo expert on here. We're gonna end up doing another segment about these eventually once the Rockies have played in these and we've seen them on the field, and once we've all had time to sleep on it and really think about how we feel. I do not have that answer for you, Patrick. I don't know. This is new information to me.
I was being facetious. No, there are no mountains in the city of Denver.
No, I know
they are all outside.
I thought you meant a view from a certain point in the city. That's what I thought you meant. I could not tell you were being sarcastic.
For some people, being able to see something in one location doesn't mean you own it. I don't know, right? That's the argument. I can see the mountains, but that's not Denver, or is it? So if you can see it, it's a part of your city. I just think they did an amazing job. They did a great job on this.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I think it's great. I think they knocked it out of the park. I'm excited to see them play in these on June 4th. I can't wait to see these on the field.
So they're going to wear them on Saturday, as you said, against Atlanta. And then they're supposed to wear them every Sunday home game. So does that mean they're going to wear them the 4th and the 5th? I'm guessing.
Good question. I don't know if they're going to wear them 2 days in a row. Are they going to wear them 2 days in a row?
Hey, that's a Sunday home game. That's a Sunday home game.
We're going to find out. It's gonna, I'll get some answers.
There we go. Yeah, we've plenty to talk about, as it always is. when they come back. So make sure you're following us on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies on Twitter. Series against the Marlins starts on Monday. Pitching matchups aren't exactly set. We do know on Monday it'll be Ryan Feltner against Pablo Lopez. That's a 2:10 start also. If you're listening to this on Monday morning, it's your day off. Enjoy it, but it is an early game for that. Tuesday, Herman Marquez, night game, 6:40. On Wednesday, day game. Don't really know who the starters are going to be for either team. Antonio Senzatella may come off the IL to make that start. And the Marlins are not bad right now as a whole. So they're 19-25, 10 games behind the Mets in the NL East, plus 13 run differential. They've got a couple good players to keep your eye on. We'll tell you that. Obviously, we'll be covering the series, pregame, postgame shows, definitely on Wednesday, postgame show for sure. But Marlins, they're on the come up after they traded an outfield of Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, and Marcell Ozuna about 4 years ago. All those prospects are starting to come to fruition, and the Marlins are starting to reap those benefits, after tanking for a couple seasons.
Yeah, it's a new Marlins team, so I'm excited to see another National League East opponent, but this time at home. And we'll get to see Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Yes, the junior part. You're right. I keep forgetting that he goes by Junior. He's the dude right now, besides just an exciting player.
The dude.
He's the dude, putting up really good numbers. Pablo Lopez has also been really good. Wrote about him in the offseason as a trade target for the Rockies because they had 3 guys. Sandy Alcantara probably looks like he might be an all-star again. The Rockies will miss him as he did just pitch this weekend, so he will not be showing up to Coors like he did last year at the all-star game. He was on the trade block. Eliezer Hernandez was the third one. I think he's a little hurt right now. But Pablo Lopez was the guy I thought the Rockies should possibly try to target and acquire. He's pitched really good, so we'll keep our eyes on him. Jorge Soler leads the team with 9 homers, and Jesus Aguilar leads the team in just having fun. He's a goofball, that one, isn't he?
He is. He leads the team in vibes right now. That's awesome.
It is, yeah. Again, follow us for all our awesomeness on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies. I'm at Patrick D. Lyons on Twitter.
I am at the Suzie Hunter on all platforms.
And again, for more on the City Connect, as well as everything going on in the Rockies world, make sure you're a member to the DNVR.com. Now only 50 cents for your first month. This has been fantastic, but you know what they say about momentum? It's only as good as tomorrow's show. So we'll talk to you then.